Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we are going to tackle three critical elements that often make the difference between a good academic essay and an outstanding one: citation, proofreading, and oral presentation skills. By the end, you will have practical tools to polish your writing and present it with real confidence. Let's get started. In previous lecture, we have learned the four key techniques for using sources: quoting, paraphrasing, summarizing, and synthesis. You might be asking yourself, how do I actually show my reader where all this information came from? That is exactly what we are going to cover now: citation. So, what is citation? Citation is a standard convention in academic and professional writing. Think of it as a set of rules that everyone in the academic community agrees to follow. Writers follow citation rules to keep academic discourse honest and transparent. This is not just a classroom requirement. In the professional world, whether you publish research, write reports, or create any kind of content, citation remains essential. Also, citation informs readers about the sources you use in your work. When you cite a source, you are answering your reader's questions. Where did this information come from? Who wrote it? When was it published? How can I find it and read it myself? A good citation gives your reader a roadmap to your sources. They can verify your claims, explore the topic further, and see the foundation upon which you built your argument. Many referencing formats exist: APA, MLA, and so on. Different academic disciplines have developed different citation styles over time. Different fields have different citation preferences. Each style has its own rules for how citation should look: where to put the commas, what information to include, how to format the author's name, and so on. But they all serve the same purpose: giving credit and guiding readers to sources. We have a critical rule: always use the style prescribed by your instructor. Your instructor will tell you which style to use for your course and assignments. For this course, as noted earlier, we use APA style. Why is this rule so critical? Because each style has specific formatting requirements. Using the wrong style or mixing styles can cost you marks and make your work look unprofessional. So you have to respect being consistent in using the appropriate style. Now let's talk about the practical side. What information do you actually need to to create a proper citation? As you can see, the details you need depend on the source type. A book requires different information than a journal article, which requires different information than a website. But here is the most important advice I can give you: always gather this information as you research. Do not wait until you are writing your reference list at 2 a.m. the night before your paper is due. Record everything now, and you will save yourself hours of frustration later. So, let's start with books. We have authors or editors. So in APA style, you need the author's last name and initials. Year of publication. APA places the year in parentheses right after the author's name, both in in-text citations and in the reference list. The title in italics. Book titles are italicized in APA. Only the first word of the title and any subtitle are capitalized. Publisher. Include the name of the publishing company. Edition, if not the first. If you are using a second, third, or later edition, you must note that in parentheses after the title of the book. Now let's look at journal articles, which are the most common sources you will use in academic writing. Authors or author, same as with books, last name and initials. Year of publication, again required for every citation. Title of the article, this appears in plain text, not italicized, only the first word is capitalized. Title of the journal in italics, the journal name is italicized and uses title case, every major word is capitalized. Volume, issue, and page numbers, the volume number is italicized, the issue number is in parentheses, followed by a comma and the page numbers. DOI, this is a permanent link to the article. We also call it digital object identifier. The APA style prefers DOI over URL because DOI never change. If an article has a DOI, include it. Name of the database, sometimes required but not always. Check with your instructor. If the article does not have a DOI, include the full URL. Finally, let's look at websites, which can be tricky because information is not always easy to find. Author, editor, or creators, this could be an individual person or an organization. For example, you find the information in the website of the World Health Organization. So, the World Health Organization might be the author of the web page. Title of the page or the article, the specific web page you are using. We have also title of the overall site in italics. The larger website that hosts the page should be in italics. Then, publication date or latest update. When was the content posted or last updated? Look for posted on, published, or last updated at the top or bottom of the page. Then we have site sponsor. Who is responsible for the site? For example, a university, a government agency, a non-profit organization, and so on. The URL, the full web address, and the date you accessed the source. APA recommends including an access date for online content that might change over time. For example, you include retrieved, the date, then the month and the day. For example, March 18, then comma, then the year of publication. The dates, the year of seeing or seeing the or access the page, which is 2026, then comma, then right from, then you have to include the site or the URL. Now that you know what information to collect for your citations, let's talk about the different citation styles you might encounter in your academic career. Different academic disciplines use different citation styles. The three most common are MLA, APA CMS. So, first, MLA, or the Modern Language Association style. This is used in the arts and humanities, literature, philosophy, languages, and cultural studies. MLA uses author page citations. For example, Smith 23, and ends with a works cited page. Then we have the second APA style, the American Psychological Association style. This is used in the social sciences, psychology, sociology, education, business, and related fields. APA uses author date citations, for example, Smith, 2020, and ends with a reference list. Third, CMS, the Chicago Manual of Style. This is used in publishing, history, and some fine arts. Chicago style often uses footnotes or endnotes instead of in-text parentheses along with a bibliography. So note, in writing your academic essay, use the APA style. As usual, you have to use the APA style in writing your academic essay. Now that we understand the different citation styles and why we use APA, let's dive into the basics of APA style. This is the foundation you will build on for every paper you write in this course. So APA style provides a standard system for giving credit. APA has two main components, and you must use both in every paper. We have in-text citations and reference list. First, in-text citations. These are brief references in the body of your paper that point the reader to the full entry in the reference list. They appear after every quote, paraphrase, summary, and synthesis, every time you use information from a source. In APA style, in-text citations typically include the author's last name and the year of publication. For direct quotes, you must also include the page number. For example, you write P period, then 45, the number of or the page number where the quote exists. If the source has no page numbers like a website, you use the paragraph number, for example, para, period, and 3, for example. Second, reference list. This is a full list of all sources you cited, placed at the end of your paper on a new page titled References. The reference list gives your reader all the information they need to find each source themselves: the full author name, publication year, title, publisher, and so on. Now that we understand the basics of APA style, in-text citations, and the reference list, let's look more closely at the two ways you can present in-text citations in your writing. In APA style, you have two options for citing sources: narrative citations and parenthetical citations. Both are correct. Both are used in academic writing. The choice depends on how you want to structure your sentence. First, the narrative citation. In a narrative citation, the author's name is part of the sentence. It becomes the subject or part of the subject of your sentence. The year follows immediately in parentheses after the author's name. Look at this example. Brown, between parentheses, the The year of publication, 1994, advocates that paraphrasing is an essential skill for student writers. So, here, Brown is the subject of the sentence or the author of the sentence. The year appears right after the name, 1994, between parentheses, and then the sentence continues. The reader knows immediately who is being cited and when the work was published. This style is called narrative because the author becomes part of the story you are telling. Then, second, the parenthetical citation. In a parenthetical citation, the author's name and year are placed together in parentheses at the end of the sentence. Look at this example. Paraphrasing is an essential skill for students, writers, and between parentheses we have the author, Brown, and the year of publication, 1994. Here, the sentence could stand on its own. The information is presented first and the source credit is added at the end in parentheses. Notice that the parentheses come before the period. Here, this is the period that that you end the sentence with. This style is called parenthetical because the citation is enclosed in parentheses. Now let's look specifically at how to cite direct quotes, because quoting has one extra requirement that you must never forget. Here is the most important rule for direct quotes in APA style. When quoting, you must include the page number. For paraphrases, summaries, and sentences, the page number is recommended but optional, unless the sentences include a direct quote in which is the page number is required. For direct quotes, it is required, so you have to include the page number every single time you quote. Let me show you how this works with these three examples. First, a narrative citation with a direct quote. Jones, 1998, stated, students often had difficulty using APA style. Then page number P 199. Notice the elements here. The author's name, Jones, is part of the sentence that make it a narrative citation. We have the year, 1998, appears immediately after the author's name in parentheses. The quoted words are enclosed in double quotation marks. Then the page number. We have P period 199 and between parentheses. This page number comes after the closing quotation marks but before the period. This is the standard format for a narrative citation with a direct quote. Second, another narrative citation, but this time the quote is integrated mid-sentence. Jones, 1998, found students often had difficulty using APA style. Then page number 199. What implications does this have for teachers? This is a more sophisticated example. The quote is not at the end of the sentence. The writer uses the quote and then continues with their own question. Notice that the citation with the page number P period 199 appears immediately after the quote and between parentheses, right where it would naturally pause. Then the sentence continues with a semicolon and the writer's own words. This shows you that citations are flexible. They go right where the reader needs them, immediately after the borrowed material. Third, a parenthetical citation with a direct quote. She stated students often had difficulty using APA style. Jones, 1998, and the page number 199. In this example, the author's name is not in the sentence. All the citation information, author, year, and page number appears together in parentheses at the end. Notice that the order inside the parentheses, we have the author in the first place, then followed by a comma, then the year of publication, then followed by a comma, then page number, the page number you wrote, P, followed with a period, then the number of the page 199. And again, the period comes after the parenthesis, not before. Now,